Hello everyone, welcome back. My name is Mohammed Tayyab, and in this video we will be performing cohort analysis in Power BI. This is the retention matrix that I built, and I will step by step show you how to build that on your data set. What are the metrics that we can draw from it, and the data insights that we can give to our stakeholders or our marketing people, and basically to get more revenue and more customers. So let me first show you what actually cohort analysis is. Cohort analysis is basically a way to group customers by the period they first became active, usually by months, and each group is known as cohort. So, for example, let's say if we have customers who made their first purchase on January 2011, then January 2011 would be the cohort for those customers. So that basically helps us, in multiple ways. I'll step by step show you. So the power of this is that instead of asking question like how many customers do I have today, we can ask something like of the customers I acquired in December, let's say, how many are still buying in January, February, March, and so onwards. And benefits are huge. Like you can spot how sticky your customers really are. You can identify like if recent cohorts are performing better or worse than the older one, right? Or you can track revenue behavior like by cohort to see whether new cohort spends more or less, and calculating some important metrics like customer lifetime revenue or customer lifetime value as well. So let me show you the data set that I've used here. It's a simple sales data set that I'm using in my previous analysis. I have invoice numbers, logo, description, and some IDs. And then I have some calculated columns here. Total revenue would be the multiplication of quantity unit price. And then I got basically the month of the date here. So for example, this customer made a transaction on 2nd November. I'm just getting the month of that date. And then we have the cohort index calculated column as well, which is basically dependent on this table. So let me first show you this table. So I created a calculated table where I just did summarization on a cohort analysis table, basically to get the minimum of the order months from the cohort analysis table. So in simple words, I'm just getting the first month of each customer purchase. Uh, this is why I'm grouping by customer ID. So this will give me like customer ID and then their first purchase month, and I'm just formatting it here like applying the year, month, and adding hardcode value as one as the day of the month. So coming back to this table, I actually made some changes that I think that's why it's loading. So we were talking about this calculated column. So I simply referred to that column. I actually did some, I made some relationships between them. So this is the calculated table that we have created. I simply connected it with customer ID. And then we also have the calendar table. Let me show you this one as well. So in calendar table, it's nothing fancy. Like I just firstly get the minimum of cohort order month, and then also the maximum of cohort month order month, sorry. And then adding some extra calculated columns for my analysis that can be helpful later by adding some calculations or adding them into the visualization. So this is a simple calendar table. I'm connecting it with cohort analysis on the date column. So let me again move on to this calculated column. So here I'm referring the customer first purchase, like I want to get the customer first purchase, and then I'm also using the order month. And basically I'm calculating the date difference, but here I'm using the unit as month because let's say I really want to see the number of months since the customer last purchase. So for example, in this transaction or in this row, the customer made a transaction or purchase on 2nd November. And let's say customer first purchase date is let's say December or something like. So based on that customer first purchase date and this cohort month, this one, sorry, order month, we are just calculating the number of months. So this way, I'm getting values from 0 to 12 here, just to let you know that 0 would be the acquisition month here. Basically the month that the customer made the first purchase. And then after that, I'm tracking the months from 1 to 12, like sort of you can say a whole year to see the customer's behavior step by step and its progress and its trend from time to time. Okay, so after that, I basically went to this table. I just added matrix visualization here, and here in the row I added the cohort month which I got from the customer table, and then in the column I added the cohort index from the cohort analysis table. So this was the same column that we were talking about, this one, to see the customer's progress over a period of months. So we have cohorts like December 2010, January 2011, and so on, but based on the data that I have, and we are tracking each cohort progress like over a period of time. 0 is the acquisition month here, and after that I'm calculating and checking the each cohort trend over a period of time, right? So how I'm calculating all these metrics here, it's interesting to look into it. So for example, if I click on this one, I'm using these two helper columns here, and after that, I'm using customer active column here. So let me click on this one to show you the DAX of it. Here I'm first creating a variable named cohort age, selected value that basically fetches the like cohort months used in the visualization, like context filter. So for example, if we are looking at January 2011, that this would give us the value of January 2011. Like if we look at row by row, and then period date would be like column by column. So for example, let's say we are checking the uh, period of, let's say, 1 or 2 or even 3. So this would give that value. And based on that, I'm just adding a calculate function here. Here I'm calculating a distinct count to check the number of customers that we acquired by each cohort. And here I'm just applying some filtration of, let's say, cohort month would be equal to cohort date, and then the order month would be equal to the period date. So this would give me the number of customers that we acquired over different cohort months, and how many of them left by in each, let's say, month, and how many of them were there, the overall trend over a period of time. So let's say if we look at the January 2011 cohorts, we had 417 customers at start, then it went back to 92. That number is very low, but then it increased a bit. So the reason behind that is like this is the sales data set, and it's very common. Like a customer can become inactive for a few months and then he come back again. So this is why number is a bit increasing and a bit decreasing. But we can see different cohorts customers over a period of time, and then we can also calculate an interesting metric named customer retention. So for that, I just need to divide the uh, each customer over a period of time by the customers that we had at the start, like the acquisition one. So for that, I basically use two DAX functions here. So this is the final DAX function, but here I'm just dividing it by customer active and then the cohort size. So customer active is the measure that I showed you, and let me show you the cohort size here. So for the cohort size, I just have to get the values of each cohort where periods is equal to 0, because I really want to divide it by the number of customers that we had at the start of each period, right? So again, using selected value here to fetch the cohort months from the filter here, visual filter, and then applying the customer IDs functions, and here I'm just really making sure like cohort date should be equal to the one pair customer month, and then also like cohort date and then the customer month in a month should be equal to 0 to matches the results. So for example, if I just remove this and add this one to give you an idea what this value is returning, it's basically just giving me the number of customers that I had at the start of each cohort month. Like for example, in December we had customers 885. So this is why it's showing 885 here, because the thing is, in order to calculate the customer retention, I'll have to divide this number by the number of customers that we had at the start, right? This number and this one. So we just need to refer this value here. That's why I calculated this measure here. So let me add this measure again. So after calculating the cohort size, I'm just dividing the customer active by the cohort size to see the retention period over a retention, like customer retention by cohorts over a period of time. So we had a retention 100% at start, and then it dropped again. It went a bit high, and then the retention that we had in a year by each cohort to see which cohort had a high retention or which cohort had a low retention, right? So after that, I did the same analysis using revenue, because we can also look at the different cohorts by the revenue. So for that, let me show you the measure I used here. I just calculated the total revenue, nothing fancy, the same measure that I used in the previous ones. But here, the only difference is I'm using the sum here because I want to calculate the total revenue by each cohort customers. So for example, this is the cohort that we had. And by the way, we can see like this cohort have a good amount of analysis or, good number. And then, we can also look at the January here. We had revenue of 1.1, and then I think the number seems same because I think I added the total revenue. I think I should be adding the customer revenue in periods. Okay, so this one makes sense. Let me add the formatting here. Okay, yeah. So this number now makes sense. We had revenue of 5.7 at the start uh, of the uh, of the like cohort of December 20, and then the revenue over a period of time, and then we can also check the revenue retention here. But let me show you how I did that. It's same like cohort date, period date. I'm just applying the sum here, and then all the other filter and all the other lines are same. I just had to change the total revenue here. So this is what I added here, and it's showing me the revenue of each cohort over our different periods. And then I also have to, calculate the revenue retention for that. The formula is same. I just need to divide, for example, this revenue by the revenue that we had at start in each cohort month. And to get the revenue retention for that, I need to have a retention. Uh, I need to have basically the revenue here. This is the measure that I mistakenly added here at start. So this like measure would give me the revenue that we had in period zero by each cohort month. This is the like measure that we will be dividing by in order to calculate the revenue retention percentage. So this is the second table here. I just divided the revenue period by the cohort start revenue, this one, to get the revenue retention period here. And we can see, the retention over a period of time in terms of the, revenue by each cohort month, like had a good amount of retention revenue and which don't. So for example, you can see a bit peak here. We can investigate why it got high. Maybe we had a good number of customers here, like the revenue as you guys can see a bit high. It can be seasonal like trend or whatever. We can investigate that. So based on that, we can also calculate the customer lifetime revenue. But before that, we would need to calculate the cumulative revenue by cohorts. So for example, let's say this is the revenue we had at start, and then for example, if we look here, so this is the revenue we had at start, and then by period one, we had this revenue. So in order to calculate the cumulative revenue, we need to divide this number by this number. So this is the one that I've calculated here. And in the same way, I'll need to add this number by this number to get the final cumulative revenue. And this number keeps on increasing because it's the cumulative revenue. So this is the cumulative revenue by each cohort month. And then we can calculate the customer lifetime revenue by cohort. For that, the formula would be simple. I just need to divide this by the number of customers because I wanna check the customer lifetime revenue. So let me show you these two measures that I used here. So for example, for the cumulative revenue, I did like sum of total revenue, but here the only difference is like I'm using here where the order month is less than equal to period age, and cohort month is equal to the cohort age. And for this one, as I said earlier, I just need to divide the total revenue of the cohort by the cohort size, basically the number of customers. This way, I will get the customer lifetime revenue by each cohort, so we can see the different lifetime values. And after that, sorry, I think yeah. So as you guys can see, the number are same here. So I think I divided this by the cohort size. Here I actually have to divide it by the customer active, right? Okay, so this is how I'll get the customer lifetime revenue by cohort. And in the same way, we can calculate the customer lifetime value. Previously, we calculated customer lifetime revenue. Here we can simply, calculate customer lifetime value. So here, I imagine the gross margin of 60%. So since the margin is 60%, so we just need to multiply the customer lifetime revenue by the 0.6% to calculate the customer lifetime value here. So let me show you the formula. Customer lifetime revenue per customer that we calculated previously, I just need to multiply by 0.6 to get our growth margin. So this will be the customer lifetime value by different cohort months and their progress over a period of time. And let's say if we have a CAC of let's say $1,000 per customer. So as you guys can see at the start of the each period, the CAC like the 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 CAC we can say or you can say the customer lifetime value is 3,000 and 8,000. So we are in a profit here like for December, January, and even February cohort as well at the start. But in March, we had a like customer lifetime value of 851, and then that number got like rockets to we had a like revenue of this much, and then the customer acquisition cost of 1,000, and we had a CLV of 900, and then it went higher to 5,000. That is increasing than the our cost. So that's good sign. So this is how we can do a cohort analysis in Power BI. I'll attach this file in description so you can download it and have a little more idea by doing some practice and getting and making sense of it. So yeah, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you liked it. Let me know if there is any concern. I'll try my best to answer that in comment. So yeah, thank you. Bye bye.